What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Matrix Motion, and here we have some more announcements for my Transformers Springer, the movie. So, the script is officially complete. It's about 36 pages, and I split into two parts, one to have the characters and one to have the actual script. And I am very pleased with this. It has 23 total scenes, and should run for more than about an hour. So I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy with this. I've had Fortress Maximus look it over. I've had some people edit it for me, and it truly is a great story. It focuses on a lot of things that Transformer movies today in the mainstream really don't focus on. It focuses on character building, specific small casting, and makes the villains also intriguing, makes the heroes intriguing, have twists and turns over it. So with that in mind, we have auditions. So I am wanting people to audition for these roles. So I'll be posting them on Instagram, and I'll be posting them on my Gmail. You just have to send it to my Gmail. The Gmail's right here. And yeah, audition for it. I can't guarantee a role, but if you know you can play this role, then by all means, give me your best shot. So with that in mind, our first character we have in this film is our main protagonist, who's the name of the title. His name is literally the title, is Springer. So Springer is a strong loner who has a troubled past. He doesn't talk much to people and prefers to work alone. He has a deepish voice, kind of a tough tone. In the beginning of the film, he's very closed off, and he doesn't want to work with anyone. He blames things on himself most than anything. So with that in mind, Springer is going to be similar to his G1 voice, as close as you can get. And I really want to, because Springer in the G1 cartoon, or even from plus 30 years of Transformers, he really hasn't got anything like by himself or anything like really memorable. So having this for him will be really cool. And he has a great storyline. He has a great character arc in this thing, so can't wait to show this out to y'all.
On RC, we gotta get this launcher into place. Megatron's making his big push, and we gotta push back.
I got better things to do tonight than die.
So our next character after that is going to be our main villain, Cyclonus. No one saw that one coming, except one person. We'll get to that later. He's a very smart and narcissistic person. He will straight up have a conversation with you while he's trying to kill you. He has a very gentleman tone and holds honor above all. He has a deep intelligence, and he plans his attacks and maneuvers quite well. So he's our main villain, and he and Springer have a past together. That's all I'll say about that. And their rivalry builds up throughout the film. And Cyclonus also holds himself very respectful. He is not like all Decepticons where he's just pure evil. You almost want to kind of have a conversation with him because he's so interesting. He's an interesting villain. He's very interesting as a person. So, that's Cyclonus.
I have captured. He could be set against the Autobots. Yes, mighty one. Your pardon, Galvatron. It won't happen again. No. Summon the sweeps. The Decepticons. Back off, Scourge. We don't have time to play around. He's all mine.
Our next hero character is Nautica. She's a very positive character, almost bubbly personality. She tries to have fun even when things look grim. She helps Springer find happiness and open up. Although she is very sweet, she's extremely intelligent and tough in combat. She can take out some of the sneakiest cons and she won't ever back down. She can have a caring tone throughout the film while also a fighting tone. So Nautica is a newer character to Transformers because she came from the comic books, and she never really had a voice. So if you're a woman out there that wants to play this, you can pretty much do whatever you have free will with how you want to be the tone. You don't have to be specific, like each one of these have to be sounding like an original character. So that's the difference with that. And she's the person who kind of guides Springer and helps him get through this journey, because Springer is very closed off. Wants to do everything by himself. He blames and things for everything. But Nautica shows that not everything about that is true. That there are better things in life. That there are some fun things to do. And she really helps him through this journey. Without Nautica, Springer would just end up being kind of one-sided. And obviously she's an amazing fighter. She's gonna have great action scenes, and yeah, I'm really pleased with how Nautica was written. She isn't just a generic character. She's very interesting, and she's very curious, and she likes to have fun a lot through missions and enjoys the thrill in life. So that's Nautica. Our next character is Motormaster. He is the big muscle of the Decepticons. He is the strongest one in this movie, being able to throw anyone around like it's nothing. However, he enjoys, quote, playing with his food a bit too much. He follows Cyclonus all the time and learns how to become a leader from him that he will use in the future. He has a tough guy voice, but doesn't sound dumb. So obviously he's similar to his G1 voice, and he's pretty much the muscle in this group. I mean, he's throwing around characters here and there. He's super strong, and he's not as interesting as Cyclonus, but you can see things in him that if they grow, and if he grows as a character, that he can be interesting throughout the future. And he plays with his food because he likes that's his form of having fun. And he likes to mess around and throw the person around like it's a chew toy until it's time to kill him, in which case he usually gets the timing messed up.
Brunt! You're finished, Prime! We're ready to roll, Megatron! Me, Motormaster, Dragstrip, Wild Rider, Dead End, and Breakdown! Here's where we split up! Dragstrip and Dead End, your assignment is to swipe component number 1. Breakdown and Wild Rider, you grab component number 2. And the last one's for me! Stunticons, let's transform! Alright, let's hit the road! You can keep all this other junk. I just want one little trinket.
Our next hero character is Pipes. He's an intelligent Autobot who loves sarcasm. Even in battle, he will crack jokes at the opponent. He isn't completely the comic relief, as he can fight with the best of them and doesn't like getting beat. He likes to take his time while completing a mission in order to have the perfect strategy available. Slightly deeper voice. So he's pretty much similar to the G1 tone, and he's very, very funny, but not intentional. So what he does is he does one-liners back at somebody. So if someone says something kind of dumb, he will point it out and that's where the joke comes from. So he's a comic relief in that sense. He's not comic relief as in, oh, he's dumb, he just kept messing up everything. He actually holds his weight around here, right? He's a very key importance into this because he finds something that kind of puts all these things in motion.
We've got to hold that thing off till the cog arrives. As Optimus Prime used to say, transform and roll out. Got to install this fast. Trypticon's already off the injured list. Blur, shut up. Done. Tell Blaster to go full transform. It's me. Nuts and bolts, I understand. Theoretical physics? No.
Our next character after that is Dreadwind, a character that really never has gotten any limelight. He's a sneaky con who loves to be a coward. He acts all tough at first, but when things go bad, he either begs or runs away. Although he is a good fighter for the most part, he will always try to find a loophole or a shortcut or a good enough reason not to stay for a fight. He'll have kind of a creepy, slightly higher pitched voice, a conniving voice. So Dreadwind never had an appearance in the cartoons, ever, and he's kind of, I want him to play similar to Starscream, but kind of turn to 11, where he's really tough. He acts tough. He acts tough against when someone's like tied up, but when they're not tied up, that's when he's like a coward. He's really like a coward right then and there. And he's kind of a screw up, and he's kind of a jerk in the movie to some characters. So his character kind of has, you want to hate him a lot kind of feel. That's the point. And his voice should kind of go with that. So that's Dreadwind. Right there. And our next characters, these are our main 6 characters. You have Springer, Pipes, and Nautica. And then you have Motormaster, Cyclonus, and Dreadwind. So you have those as our main characters, and the rest of these are going to be side characters. Those 6 will have a ton of lines. But these ones, they'll have a few lines. They're important to the story. They're important to the story. Every single person has a piece in this. but they have not as many lines and not as many appearances. So our first one is going to be Megatron. He's a lesser role in the film, but still has an importance. Megatron's the leader of the Decepticons and is one who gives the mission to Cyclonus that sets this in motion. He doesn't take failure lightly and demands excellence, or you will die. Sounds like G1. Tough. So he's pretty much just straightforward, just like how he was in Generation 1. Straightforward bad guy. And he's I'm kind of picturing as kind of like the Thanos from the first Avenger movie, where he's there, but he's the one setting everything in motion, but he's not actually doing anything in the movie. As in, like, he's not like the main villain, because this story takes place on the side of the main war between the Autobots and the Decepticons. It's kind of a spin-off to where you can focus on somebody's mission, and then it goes from there.
Imperative that cargo remains secret. Dirge, shut down the rest of your systems and remain still. You insolent pile of scrap iron! It has been kept locked up on Cybertron in Wheeljack's workshop all this time. It must be deadly. Ramjet, thrust. Give me a demonstration.
Our next character is going to be Optimus Prime. A lesser role, but still of great importance. Optimus is the leader of the Autobots and the one who gives Springer the mission. He talks to his friends and gives life lessons in those in need, and he takes care about safety of the Autobots over the mission. Now, I want him to have a G1 tone. I know that everyone that likes to do the nowadays where he's really deep voice, like, I am Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots. But I want to try and get to that G1 tone because I really think that was the best version of Optimus Prime's voice. Because he's more of a father figure in this movie, like he was in the G1 cartoon. He gives life lessons to Springer, to Nautica, to Pipes, throughout the film, as in life quotes. He's supposed to be a guide in a way. Not completely in the movie, but a guide to where he can latch on to certain words he takes and keeps it moving throughout the movie. He does pop in about every couple scenes throughout the movie. Same thing with Megatron. They both will show up every once in a while in the movie with tone, with lines, with appearances.
We're Autobots. We're from Cybertron, a planet far from Earth. Those who tried to harm you are called Decepticons. We must stop them before they destroy your world.
So our next character is Starscream, a Decepticon who always wants to be the leader. He thinks he will do a better job than Megatron. Although he chickens out every time Megatron gets mad at him, he has a G1 voice and he's a lesser role. Just like the G1 cartoon, where he always wants to be leader, always talking bad about Megatron, and he at first has a slight butting head with Cyclonus that may get built later, and he just like G1 Starscream, he just wants to be leader. He's annoying and he's kind of a coward, not as bad as Dreadwind, but still, and it wants to be just like the G1 voice, the high-pitched voice, and he won't get so many lines, but he will be throughout the movie in the film with several lines.
Shockwave that! All I ever hear about is how great Shockwave is! Shockwave has much to be humble about! Who can respect a leader who cannot so much as defeat the Autobots? Nobody turns his back on me! Decepticons, feast your eyes on your new leader.
So that's Starscream. Our next character, now we're getting to even slightly lesser roles for some of them. Some of them will only have 1 or 2 scenes. Though Megatron, Optimus, and Starscream, those will all have several scenes, like about 3 or 4 or 5. These ones will have about 2 to 3. So our next one is Blue Streak. So in this, he's a marksman who sometimes goes overboard, taking kill shots from other Autobots. He likes to get as many as possible. G1 lesser. So he has 2 scenes where he is a marksman, and he's pretty much the one getting all the kills against grunts. And he's enjoying it a lot, and he gets trigger happy, and his character is kind of revolved around that. He has a G1 tone, because in the G1 he really didn't have a character. So we're doing it in this one where he's a marksman. So yeah, he'll have like about 3 or 4 lines, maybe even 5. I can't remember. So that's Blue Streak. It's pretty straightforward with him.
Maybe Hound's got glitch mice in his databanks again.
Hold it off, Ironhide! There's too many of them! They're out of reach! Make it our fight!
So our next one's gonna be Warpath, a funny-going bot who loves a big boom. He likes cracking jokes, charging into battle, and a G1 voice. So Warpath, he gets about the same amount of lines as Blue Streak. His are just more funnier and more charismatic, and kind of more joking tone. So just as like the G1 voice, getting similar to that.
They don't call me Warpath because I'm gentle. Yeah! All right, knights, let's go blam zinger!
So our next one after that is Bumblebee. So happy-go-lucky bot wanting to complete the mission. He doesn't really have much in this movie. He only has maybe 2 or 3 lines in this movie, so it's ironic. He gets a motion picture in the mainstream, but in this stream gets tiny. Because he's a major character, but not for this story. Keep that in mind. All these characters are important, but not to this one story. So yeah, just like the G1 voice, as close as you can get it.
At least we found these, Wheeljack. Can't worry about that now. Hey, let's get back to Iacon. I bet Optimus Prime will be glad to see us. Ah, home sweet home. Prime told me there'd be days like this.
Bumblebee and Spike here. All clear, Jazz.
This thing, this monster planet just ripped the first moon to shreds. We'll try and slow it down.
The explosives are activated. Let's get out.
One who has slightly more lines, but is not shown up until the very end of the movie, is Grapple, a character that you don't think about too much. Grapple, who's an intelligent engineer of the Autobots who likes rebuilding wounded soldiers. So, Grapple is at the end of the movie, and he will be helping repair certain characters. Because certain characters do get some hurt, a little hurt, like not too bad, just a little. And he's there helping fix up the characters, kind of getting his spot there. So Grapple will have pretty much the G1 voice, as close as you can get it. It's a pretty straightforward, it's like a British tone to it, almost. But it's he's a good addition to the movie. He's a character that you see him and you go, hey, I remember you. I know who Grapple is. Like a cameo. A lot of these characters are cameos, now that I think about it, because you know who they are. At least lesser roles, you know who they are. But they're not exactly, if you don't know Transformers, you wouldn't know who they are.
Someday I want to build something that doesn't get trashed. Well, if he's not impressed, I'll be depressed. And we must have proof that you're telling the truth.
Our next character who will be helping Wheeljack, actually, excuse me, not Wheeljack, Grapple, is actually Wheeljack. So Wheeljack is also an engineer who loves building things and hoping they do not explode. Helps repair Autobots. So he helps Grapple at the very end of the movie, and they both go back and forth between kind of bantering and repairing the characters. And they do get some good scenes together. At least that scene, excuse me. They get that one scene together, and it's very good. At least I think it's a good cameo for the two of them. They get some like talking back and forth, doing some science work, working on something, and it helps with it.
On their personality circuits.
I saw this once when I linked my data bank to an Earth television transmission. I think it was called King Kong. And Devastator reminds me of that big baboon.
Let's see how he likes my new shock blast cannon.
Thanks, Auto Buddies. You know, it sure is nice when one of my inventions actually works.
Hey, none of us is perfect, Ironhide. My immobilizer demonstration will just have to wait a bit.
So our next one is Slammer. Slammer, who's a foot soldier of the Autobots, he can have any voice, lesser role. He will have one scene. 1 or 2 scenes. Now that I remember. He's pretty much the foot soldier of the Autobots. He'll have one-liners and then probably get blown up. There's like several versions, so you technically would have one voice, but you would be playing several characters. So and it goes both ways, because on the other side we have Brunt. So Brunt is the Decepticon version of Slammer, pretty much, where he's a foot soldier. He has some lines here and there, and gets blown up a lot. So that's not really a spoiler. It's just saying that's usually what you expect when you got foot soldiers. So then the next character, who has a little bit more lines than the other ones, he's in about 2 scenes, is Skids. He's a good soldier for the Autobots who will get on someone for screwing up a mission. He gets his patience isn't very thick. So there's that. So Skids, he never had a G1 cartoon voice, so you can do whatever you want with his voice. Kind of take a look at the character and see what you think about it, and if you think your normal voice would match up with it, you can use your normal voice, or if you have a tone that you want to use, you can use that tone. I'll be comparing and seeing what best would fit for the character. So there's more freedom with Skids. So then our next one is Blaster, communication officer for the Autobots who loves the 80s. He talks like a DJ and gets signals coming in and out of the Autobot base. G1 lesser voice. So these are communications. He kind of gets a certain thing in it, certain piece of information that he passes down to where it gets this whole movie in motion. And he has this iconic like G1 voice where it's just like he sounds like a DJ. The most like what a DJ would sound like is what it is. So yeah, I think he's a great character, good cameo in the movie, and I think it's a fun role because you get a few lines and like the way you pretty much could give your all on those lines to make it sound as cool and as fun or as blastery as possible. So.
Ow! Ow! Hey, Perceptor! What's shaking other than this fortress? All right! Cover your receptors, Perceptor. Optimus Prime, do you read me? The Decepticons are blitzing Autobot City. We're really taking a pounding. Don't know how much longer we can hold out.
Those are all my characters in this movie. So, if you are wanting to audition for this movie, you can either check it out on my Instagram page, or you can just email me at this link right here. Not this link. This is Gmail right here, and I will be able to get you a audition. I'll send you some lines, you send me some recordings, and we go from there. We'll see if it works, we'll see if it not. I'll have Fortress Maximus helping me as we do our auditions. So, yeah, we're really excited. And I want to give a huge shout out to the awesome person for figuring out pretty much what the main cast was, because he was able to notice in the back of the screen that there was a board on it that had some misspelling of some of the names, and he was able to figure it out from there. And so I just want to give a huge shout out to him. He had a good eye. That's everything I have for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the announcement. Looking forward to giving more announcements as we go further, like as in who will be what part. That will be our next announcement. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to stay to what comes next. And this is Matrix Motion, signing off.
I'll never surrender. I'll never surrender.